Friends, hello and welcome on TechGuruSpeaks.com. Today I would like to describe one of the important topics of Java exception handling, and that is about finally block. The finally keyword creates a block of code in Java that will always be executed after a try-catch block has completed and before the code following the try-catch block. After a catch block has been executed, the program control is always transferred to the finally block, provided if one is specified. This is always true as long as there is a finally block, regardless of whether the catch block itself throws an exception. The finally block will execute whether or not an exception is thrown. If an exception is thrown, the finally block will execute even if no catch statement matches the exception. Anytime a method is about to return to the caller from inside a try-catch block via an uncaught exception or an explicit return statement, the finally clause is also executed just before the method returns. This can be useful for closing our files, releasing our network sockets or database connections, or to perform any kind of cleanup activities. So basically it is used for writing some cleanup code. The finally clause is optional. However, each try statement requires at least one catch or a finally clause. Even if there is a return statement in the try block, the finally block executes right after the return statement. So just have a look at the general syntax of the exception handling try catch finally block. So normally try and catch will be working in a combination. So try followed by catch, and then we'll be writing finally, provided if we are going to include all these three blocks in our Java exception handling code. Now there are certain rules to follow for try catch and finally blocks. Rule number 1, for each try block there can be 0 or more catch blocks but only one finally block. I mean to say, this try block may be associated with more than one catch block, or it will be associated with a single finally block. That means try can be associated with the catch or it can be associated with the finally. Obviously you can write all of them together, so that is a separate scenario. But if you are to consider a combination, so then try catch or try finally to be considered. Now for try catch you can have multiple catch blocks for a single try block, but for finally it will be having a single block and it might be coupled with try. So try finally and try catch. Number 2, the catch blocks and finally block must always appear in conjunction with a try block. That means try catch finally. Rule number 3 states that a try block must be followed by either at least one catch block or one finally block. Rule number 4, the order of exception handlers in catch block must be from the most specific exception. So these are the rules to be followed for Java exception handling. Now I'll be writing some, better to say some coding demonstration will be shown to you by using the NetBeans IDE. Let's move to the NetBeans IDE for demonstrating Java finally block. So now we are having a code related to demonstrating the Java finally block. Here we are having three methods: method A, method B and method C. All these are static methods. So including main we are having four methods, and here all of the methods are static method. So now if I am to consider the main method, because from where the program execution will begin, we are having a try block, and within the context of the try block the method A has been called. So that means the program control will now transfer to this particular method. So here we are having another try finally combination, like so within the try block inside method A, it is just printing this line. Following this we are having an exception to be thrown explicitly by using the throw keyword. So it is basically creating an instance of the runtime exception using the string message of the throwable class constructor. So that means an exception object is being generated, but there is no catch with respect to this try block. So it must be caught somewhere in the program. So what is the thing to be considered? It will be now looking for the matching catch, and this matching catch will be found here. Okay, but the thing is that you cannot skip finally block inside method A. So I mean to say, before looking for the matching catch block for this particular exception that has been generated by using the throw keyword, it will first be executing the finally block. So that is why this will be executed, and then it will be trying to find the matching catch. If it is found, so it will be executing the statements inside it. So that is the idea. Just have a look at it. So you can see it here, like we are inside method A. For this method call, this is the first line to be printed. Then it will be creating this exception explicitly using throw keyword. Then the finally block executes, because there is no way you can skip this finally block, though it is now looking for the matching catch. So the finally clause is executed on the way out for method A. Now the matching catch block is found here in the main method, which is the immediate caller of method A, because from main method the method A has been called. So it is found here. So it is now printing this statement inside the catch block. So it is showing the corresponding exception that has been generated. Now comes the method B. So it is basically having try finally in combination. So within try block, I have tried to return from it, like we would like to exit from the method B, but we cannot skip the finally block. No matter what the condition is, it is always be executed. So the finally clause is executed before method B returns. So as a result, it will be showing you we are inside method B for this method call, and then it will be showing the method B's finally block executes. Okay, now for this call, that is method C call, it is just a normal try finally block, and there is no early exit by using return, or there is no exception being generated. So that is a normal case. So it will be first printing this line, we are inside method C, and then it will be calling this line, that is the SOP inside the finally block. So in that way the program will be executing the statements inside the methods under the class except09. So I hope that you have understood the function of finally block. Basically, no matter what the condition is, whether the exception has occurred or not, it will always be executed, and you cannot skip the occurrence of finally block, whether it is basically looking for a matching catch block here, or you are actually trying to perform an early exit by using a return statement. You cannot skip this finally block. It will always be executed, then it will be returned here, and then it will be looking for the matching catch, and it will be taking the step accordingly. So that is the idea behind this program. I hope that you have understood the concept of Java finally block. Basically, it is used for writing some cleanup code, because no matter whether the exception has occurred or not, it will always be executed, and by using this you can perform some kind of, say, cleanup activity, that means releasing the resources like database resources, network connections, or the files. So I hope that you have thoroughly watched this video, and if you like this video, then please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Here comes the URL of my YouTube channel, and please visit my website techguruspeaks.com. You will find lot of useful information here, and this is my official email ID, admin@techguruspeaks.com. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.